Hey, very, very good evening to everyone. This is Kevin Foong. So, thank you for joining me tonight. Now, as usual, we are going to be looking at technically, we'll be discussing a few things about Bazi, yeah? This is a live session. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Jean. Right? Just drop me a comment if you just came and joined the session so I know at least where you guys are tuning in from. All right. We're waiting for the rest of everyone to join. So, of course, if you can, at the same time, later on, I'll teach you how to really get your parts ready. All right. Okay. Hi, Jackson. Hi, Selena. Hi, Joshua. Hi, Joyce. Okay. So just keep it coming. Right. So, hi, Francis. Hi, Marilyn. Okay. So just keep your comments coming. So we just try to make this a very, very interactive session. So what you can actually help me to do is this. Now, do help me to like and share the post, okay? Because when you are sharing the post, it actually helps a lot more people out there to get more answers what to do with their current life right now. I think that's quite important. So we are all helping each other and supporting each other during this difficult time in the COVID-19 period. So what we want to be doing here is, as best as possible, help us to like and share, right? So we got quite a fair bit of people here. So every share will help us to reach out to more people who can actually get some advice on how to go about it reading from your parts chart, right? So just to make sure that technically you guys can hear me. Yes, if you can hear me, just click yes. All right. So sometimes Facebook may take a while to load because it's the peak of the period right now. So I think a lot of the people is actually looking at technically using Facebook Live at the same time to engage a lot more people. Okay. So if you can hear me, just click yes. So at least I know the voice is coming to you well, right? Very good evening to you, Tani Singh. Hi, Vincent. Okay. Hi, Pang. All right. Hi, Leonardo. Okay. Hi, Ron. Good to see all of you. Okay. So, right. What we actually be doing here is this, yeah. So, if you have been joining me for the last, I think this is our sixth session, or probably our fifth, our sixth session. So, if you have been joining me for our sixth session, please at least make sure that you prepare your parts chart, because technically, for most of the time, if you know how to refer to your parts chart, we be able to learn along with me how do you decode valuable information. Now, at the end of it, what we want to be knowing is this: you want to know, what are the directions in your life. Okay. In fact, in the last 5 episodes we've done previously, I even help you guys to go on through, just looking at the chart, what sort of industry should you go to, right? And even looking at characteristics, what is some of your strength? Okay, what are the strengths that you are actually born with? Okay, so this is some of the key things. Now, if you don't know where to get your parts chart itself, all right, so let me just get you the link. Okay, so make sure you goes to myparts.info. All right, so goes to this link, and if this is the first time here, just make sure that you get on to your myparts.info, and you'll be able to at least plot your date of birth and time. Now, what do you actually get to do with the myparts.info? So probably I will just share my screen here for a fair bit, right? So this is one thing that you'll be looking at now when you are at the parts chart itself. When you go to myparts.info, you'll be asked to key in the year, right? So this is the year of birth that you'll be getting on the birth cert, right? So your year, your month, the day. Now all of this is based on your English birthday, so you don't need to kind of remember what is your lunar birthday, right? So let the software do the conversion for you. The software will cover everything else. So make sure that you had your English birthday with you. Of course, if you do know the time, all right? So the time will help you to get 100% accuracy. Now, if you don't know the time, the accuracy somewhat drops to 75%, but it's still good enough because the hour pillar technically reads more on your things like your employee, your investment, your children, right? So these are some of the things that may be lacking out a bit this year. So if you don't have access to the time, it may not be 100%. Okay. So if this is the first time, just join me. Just punch in the comment. Say this is first, right? So let me know how many of you it's the first time you're joining me live. So it's very good to be at least engaging with you all this while, because right now, I think Malaysia has kind of lifted a bit of restrictions. So quite a fair bit of people has probably went back to work. but Singapore is still extending all the way to 1st of June. Maybe along the way, we see some form of restriction. Now, of course, having said that, a lot of us will usually wants to know, is there an astrology angle we can see just from the astrology chart? If we be looking at technically, what is the timeline of this virus situation? Now, if you actually follow me for quite a while already, in fact, on my Facebook post, you can went all the way back to my November post. That was in 2019. I actually posted that, there'll be, infectious diseases. They'll be kind of out of control, and quite a fair bit of people will be suffering from this, and quite a bit of fatality. I even mentioned about heart attacks, stroke. These are some of the underlying diseases that's going to be happening a lot this year. So that was that when I did the post in November. And of course, subsequently, the COVID-19 situation kind of went out of control, right? In fact, taken the whole world by surprise. So right now, if you're looking at the timeline, I did mention also, if you subscribe to my Telegram, right, updates, my Facebook live updates. In fact, I mentioned that you could be looking at somewhat, right? So April to May is the first level of containment. Now, if you need a pretty precise date, probably you can look at after 21 of May onwards, right? So plus minus after this date onwards, actually 11 May onwards, there's already a slight transition all the way to 21st May. If you look at the stars and the planet position. Now, what this actually tell us is the government may sort of get a grip on the current situation. Now, it may not 100% means that the virus totally has gone away. Okay, so it just means that, example, when there's a grip, like if you look at Malaysia, so the MCOs is kind of being contained for a fair bit. So when this sort of situation is being contained, what happened is the government will slowly lift some of the restrictions that will allow more businesses, more people to go back to work, right? So this is important because if you're going to stop the whole world from working right now, I think at some point in time, all businesses will be in distress because ultimately, the economy works on the credit level. Things has to be moving in order for the money to be coming in for some businesses and people, right? So if you look at May 11 onwards, containment was slightly comes in for a fair bit. So when you look at that, I think more people will be heading back to work for a fair bit, right? And of course, my only worries is because this is also the year of the matter rat. So if you don't know what is the year of the matter rat, when you plot onto my bazichart.info, what happened is, let me just bring this out bigger. Okay, so if you look at this, currently 2020, this is a matter element, okay? And of course, we are in the year of the rat, right? So if you look at matter and red element. Now, red is a water element, okay? So technically, if you look at this element here, now when we're talking about water, you're talking about transmission disease or things that can go viral, right? This is one of the things that we're looking at. So sometime in the last quarter of the year, my only concern here is there is possibly, right, a second wave that we might be, experiencing. It may come back, right, in the second wave in terms of the last quarter. So that's something we want to be very careful about it. So if you do pretty well, energy-wise, we'll be looking at sometime next year, okay? So I'm pretty sure by next year, July onwards, that was 2021, right, when you enter the ox year. So when you enter the ox year, July onwards, right? So technically, I think the virus completely will be under control. So the another level of containment right after, if there's a second wave, will be in January period around 2021. So in the current time right now, so we were talking about May all the way to maybe November period, right? October period, right? So this time, my take is, first and foremost, do not let fear comes into your life, right? So if you had a lot of fear right now, a lot of uncertainty, and you go into panic mode, you start to make a lot of the wrong decisions. So this is something that you have to be very careful, right? So while everyone is, going into a fear mode right now, what you should do is to get clarity. You want to know what you want to be doing for the next few months. At least I don't think, sitting at home watching television or what sort of movies that you'll be catching online is a good time to be spending your time, right? So take this time from May all the way to October period. So this is a good time. Some of you have went back to work, plan what you can be doing right now, right? So you must be in control of that. Now, if you don't have somewhat an intention of what you want to be doing, right, then obviously you're not going to be performing too well during this period of time, right? So first and foremost, when you talk about Chinese metaphysics, when you talk about Bazi, you must understand whatever you're seeing in your chart right now, this is kind of a roadmap. okay, to your life, what is going to unfold. Okay, now the roadmap, it doesn't mean it's 100% going to cast in stone, it's going to happen if all you do is just to sit down and sit at home and do nothing. All right. So what it's trying to tell is there's a certain influence, there's a certain opportunities to come. Now, opportunities or crisis, right? It all is quite clear on your date of birth and time. So this is why if you even look at Western astrology, you look at India, you have a Vedic astrology, even Chinese astrology, all sort of system is pointing you to the signs. Okay, so ultimately you must know what do you want for yourself. So that to me is all about setting intention. So if your intention right now, example, says that while people is going to fearful mode, not doing anything, they are trying to cut costs, they are trying to not spend anything, right? In fact, I will challenge you to go the other direction instead. Now, of course, for entrepreneur like us, we have already been businesses for a long time. I don't think giving up is your option right now, right? So that should be the last thing that you should be looking at. So first and foremost is you want to be looking at how are you going to go through this period. So this is important. So you have to set an intention. What do you want to do? Then ultimately, you use the power of your Chinese metaphysics, which is your Bazi, right? So that's your date of birth and time to give you a good grip what is going to come, and you make the decisions according to this so that the outcome is ultimately what you want. All right, so it's quite simple. Yeah, if you want to talk about Chinese metaphysics, this is all about heaven. Okay, if you talk about heaven energy, okay, so this is heaven, right? And then this you have man, and then you have earth. Yeah, so if you haven't man earth, so Chinese we call this 天地人. Of course, man is actually right in the center. So if you look at this part here, what we're trying to say here is heaven is talking about your date of birth and time. All right, so that will really have an influence what sort of family you are born into, what sort of characteristics that you have, what are some of the gifts that you find you are so gifted in this kind of character traits, right? And of course, if you talk about earth energy, that will be under feng shui. That means to say that we are talking about your external environment and the current environment that you're staying in. That's feng shui, right? Now, I'll be covering feng shui coming next week. So next week onwards, if you're still tuning in with me, I'll give you a lot of tips how to use feng shui as a solution, right, to help with your one-third of energy influence. But of course, today, what I really wanted to be doing here, it's very simple. I want to talk about how do you use Bazi, which is heaven, and what decisions are you going to be making right now. So man is always talking about free will. You see, so what is free will? Free will is technically what do you set for yourself. So if your idea is, hey, people can be losing jobs, then probably I just sit at home, and wait for jobs offer to come, then maybe it's not such a good idea because you're just sitting on opportunities. So what I will say is tries to evaluate whatever you can during this point in time, because pretty sure that a long time of whatever you've been doing, you have accumulated a very good skill sets. So if you have been, example, in accountancy, so you'll be able to do accountancy, and you need to try to reach out to more people and let people know that you can do it, right? So in this era, attention is the key. So anyone who can drive attention, right, you will be able to do this pretty well. So if you don't know how to drive attention, then you need to figure out how to do it, right? So example, even a live session like this, some of you are saying that, but I don't know how to talk. Well, you don't have to be a very good speaker. All you have to do is to show off what you can do, right? This is exactly what we are trying to do right here to help each other out, yeah? So if you just join me this evening, this is Kevin Foong. Right, for those of you that is here for the very first time, right, so do log on to the Bazi calculator, which is my Bazi.info. Now, once you're in, right, you'll be able to plot your date of birth and time. So, of course, when you're plotting your date of birth and time, so what we'll be talking about is you want to be looking at some of your chart, which is what we will be discussing today. So, if you look at your chart, technically in the last 5 episodes, now if this is our current 6th session, if you have missed the earlier episodes, don't worry about it, because my team has already prepared and consolidated all of the episodes. And not only that, at the same time, we also have prepared a guide for you. So if you're looking at the guide, right, so all this is a PDF guide. It's all prepared for you to get you started to understand some of the mechanics of your Bazi chart, right? So don't worry about not following any of the information, because once you realize that if you are willing to set an intention to learn this art, you see, ultimately, your date of birth and time is talking about yourself. So if you don't bother about this, my question to you is, then who in the world will bother about it, right? So it is your job to make sure that you get full clarity about your life and what you want to do from here, so on and so forth. Ultimately, you want to subscribe to positive energy, right? So don't worry about the guide, this and that, because all of this thing, I will actually give you a link, right? So technically, I'll give you a ways to get all of these guides and the videos that I'm talking about. Now, last episode, we were talking about Day Master, okay? So I want to get a bit of interaction with you guys. I want to talk about Day Master here. So what is Day Master? Now, if you're talking about Day Master, I'm talking about this box here. So if you look at your Bazi chart, I'm talking about this box, okay? So right now, there is a total of 10 different Day Master. So what is Day Master? If you're not sure, this is technically your Chinese astrology sign. So if you're looking at a Chinese astrology sign, some of you could be Jia Wood person, some could be, Yi Wood, some could be Ping Fire, some is Ting Fire. So if you're not sure, look at this box. Like this box I'm highlighting here is called the Ting Fire. Okay, so I kind of went over what is the energy that is coming for this month. Now we're talking about this month, we're talking about today, which is 5th of May, right? So if you look at 5th of May, all the way to sometime about 6th June, right? So if you're looking at this timeline, this is, when we talk about month, I don't talk about English calendar month. This is based on the 24 solar terms, right? So technically, this is the timeline I'm talking about. We're going to look at what's going to happen, right, in the upcoming months, right? So how many of you are Ting Fire? Or rather, just put in your Day Master. I want to know what is your Day Master. Please key in the comment box right now, okay? So if you're a wood person, just key wood. If you're fire, key fire, Ping Fire, right? Some of you are earth person, so just key earth, right? So I want to know what is your Day Master. Please key in the comment box. So what we can do here is, at least I try to make this interactive, so you can give me your questions, your comments, your answers, and I'll be able to pick out some of this, and then I can put it out on screen, and then we can go through discussion, right? So I'll teach you how to look at some of this thing. Yeah. So if you look at some of the information that I'm showing here, so let me just put out some of you. So like Joshua, right? So that's G Earth. Okay. So we have Yi Sing is Yi Wood. Okay. Lo Ching Wei is matter. So let me just look at the comments is coming up really fast. Yeah. By the way, you need to be sharing the post. Yeah, because the minute you share, Facebook will assign you as a sharer, right? So your status become a sharer. What happened is this: later on, when we got time, I will try to answer some of the questions. So we will help those who is a sharer. So when you share the post, you can. I will allow you to post your questions, and if you allow us to look at your date of birth and time, it'll be even more accurate, right? So please make sure you share the post right now, because once you share, you obtain the status sharer, right? So once you get that, you'll be able to, we will start to answer questions that people who shares, yeah? Okay, so Jackson is in Earth, right? So we have Stanley Chen, that is Young Matter, okay? So we have Bong is Wood person. So Akko Cruz is a Matter, right? And then you have Lima is is a Young Matter, huh? Okay, so Keng Matter is a Yang Matter, right? So and we have Rika Chan is a Yang Matter. So quite a fair bit of Yang Matter people here, huh? Okay, cool. So just keep all comments keep coming. So just keep punching in what is your Day Master here. So at least it'll be a 2 times interactions, and then I'll be able to come back with a lot more insights and guideline for you guys. Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the Ting Fire Day Master here. Yes, when you want to share the post, do help to share the post itself, which is technically this post. Yeah. So when you share this post, Facebook will assign the status to you as sharer, and I'll be able to see it on my screen here. Yeah. So example, CP Lim. So if you look at CP Lim, he is now a sharer, right? So he has already gotten the status called sharer. So once you have a sharer, later on we will allow you to ask questions on your Bazi, right? If you don't mind to put out your Bazi date and date of birth and time, I'll be able to help you to at least do some interactions, right? So this is one of the key part we're looking at. So first and foremost, let's look at Ting Fire, right? So how many of you is Ting Fire? Just key in the comment me, right? So if you're Ting Fire, key me, because whatever I'm going to talk about for Ting Fire people, okay, what is going to come for 5th May to 6th June, this is what we're going to be looking at, right? So we have covered Jia Wood, right? We have covered Yi Wood, we have covered Ping Fire in the last episode, okay? So make sure that you get into the Ting Fire. Now, what happens is this: if you look at Ting Fire, now in this next month that is upcoming, is quite simple. It's going to be a wealth month for you, okay? So wealth month is the first thing, and then what is wealth month talking about? It's talking about, number one, that is very good opportunity to earn money, Okay, so if some of you have even output stars, if you're Think Fire, you have output stars. What is output stars? Yeah, if you have Hurting Officer (HO) or you have EG, right? You have these two stars in your Bazi chart. Next month, okay. When I talk about next month, it's actually this month, yeah, 5th of May to 6th June. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so this period of time is easy for you to be looking for opportunities because the output, right, will convert to wealth. Now, Chinese, we actually talk about structure. Now, structure that is, we call this 时尚生财, right? So 时尚生财 is technically, we say output produce wealth structure. So technically, next month it's a wealth month for the Think Fire people. So all you have to do is look at your Bazi chart. Do you have HO or EG? Now, if you don't know where to find hurting officers, okay, you can look at this box here. This is the 10 God, right? So this 10 God column is talking about, what stars do you have. So example, the Think Fire, if you got hurting officers, okay, and then if you also have the eating God, right? So that's HO for short and EG. Okay. So next month for the Think Fire people is very good opportunities for you to earn money. Now the next thing you have to be careful is any form of big purchase for coming 5th May to 6th June. Don't do it. Okay. This is not the right time because right now all I'm saying is in current situation, probably what you should be doing best is to store at least cash flow. Okay. So of course, if you have way more than enough cash flow in terms of for anything that is unpredicted, then you're more than enough to do investment. Okay, you can go ahead with that. But if you don't, then at least right now, just keep cash flow. Yeah, so this is a very important things that you want to be looking at. Right. So now that's for Think Fire. Now let's look at any one of you beside the Think Fire. The second stars that you'll be looking at is, of course, next month that is also you may find there will be a lot of situation whereby if you're allowed to head back to the office. So if you are from Malaysia, maybe you have to go back to work. Now in Singapore, technically most of the time you are still probably have to work from home, right? So this month, if you're looking at 5th May to 6th June and you are Think Fire person, I need you to kind of make sure that you value add a bit more to your current employer right now because technically if you don't, there will be a lot of episodes of your employer might be finding some faults with you. They may think that you're not contribute enough right now, and you may not be at the least that they wants to be keeping their staff at the most crucial period. Okay, remember this: people only wants to keep people that's valuable to the company. So make sure that value add as much as possible. Okay, so if you got a job right now, you have to thank your employer for that because it's not easy to keep everyone in the job these days. Of course, there's some industry, probably in some F&B sector is still doing well, but majority of the F&B sector, they are not doing well, right? Because restaurant has to be closed and then you're not allowed to operate and stuff like that. Yeah. So if you look at hurting officers or eating God, all right, you can be either you're hurting, you can be getting it in your heavily stamp will be better. If you don't have it in the heavily stamp, then go for the earthly branch. Heavily stamps will be the first choice. This is coming from Eric Ong. Okay, so make sure that you share the post because once you share the post, you obtain the status of a sharer, and then we'll be able to help you to answer more questions with related to your parcel. Now, the next stars I want to be discussing on is the stars that is what we call the U-Earth. Okay, so if you don't know what's the U-Earth look like, okay, let me just bring it out on the chart here. Right, so U-Earth, if I put it down to this, okay. Now, so if you look at U-Earth itself, right, so this is a U-Earth person. So if you look at this day master here, so you need to read this. How many of you is a U-Earth? You look at this box here. Okay, so this is important. So let me just bring it out bigger, right? So look at this box here and tries to see how many of you is a U-Earth person. Now the U-Earth day master, just key inside the comment, all right? So make sure that you have gotten the U-Earth direction, right? So I'll be covering that in a short while. So how many of you is U-Earth? Just key inside the comment box so I know what is the focus that you want to be looking at, okay? So feel free to keep any form of comments coming in because it actually helps to make this two-way interaction. So at least I'm not just talking alone to the mic, right? So, okay, I'll try to make this more fun as possible, yeah? So if you look at the U-Earth Day Masters, okay, some of you who have the U-Earth, what you'll be looking at is relatively quite straightforward, yeah? So example, Ron. So Ron has U-Earth, yeah? So Ron and Cynthia also have the U-Earth. So if some of you got a Wu Earth or you are Earth Day Masters, you can also key it in. So technically, let's talk a bit about the Wu Earth Day Master. So if you look at next month, it's quite simple. Now, if you don't know how we actually extract this information, is you are looking at a few things. You see, the coming month, right, which is coming from 5th May. And of course, if you look at 5th May itself, yeah, it's hurting officers to you. So what are you going to expect? So the few things you're going to be expecting is, number one, is you're going to be in a very, very busy period. Okay. So when you talk about hurting officers, it's a star that never rests. Okay. It don't get you to sit down and rest. So it's all about execution. It's all about taking action. It's all about putting whatever you have plans earlier on. This is the time. You have to make it work now. Okay. So if you look at technically hurting officers for the Wu Earth, be prepared that, what are you looking on for the entire month? What do you want to achieve? So you must set an intention, because if you don't set an intention, what you want to achieve for this month, you'll be all over the place. Okay. You're not being productive. So you need to set an intention. What do you want to achieve? Is it, example, getting back your job? Okay, some of you, if you got retrenched, then the first thing first, okay, I always say the fastest way to get pay or to get a paycheck is to get a job first, right? If you are already in businesses, then that's other components and perspective, okay? But if you are currently, you just lost your job due to the COVID-19 situation, then please at least get back. You need to get one source of income first, right? Before you talk about multiple sources of income. Now, right now, you must believe that even in the current context or situation, in fact, we even have people who bought out a good class bungalow, right? We have clients who bought good class bungalow during this time. I actually did a few selections unit for them. In fact, so this is one of the best times to be picking out some of the cheap properties. Now, this is only possible if you already got your cash flow ready, right? So if you are not, then right now, please find ways to level out how you're going to build out your cash flow, whether it's from one stream, it's from multiple stream. Now, these days, you not only need to look at a job, you probably need to look at some other things, right? Like example, we have musicians who came to us for consultations. Singing used to be able to be done in clubs or even at night places, right? But these days, a lot of these restriction, they have to cut back their jobs, right? And they are not able to take out new jobs. So some of them were even performing on Facebook Live, okay, with a donation number or a PayNow or a PayPal number, right? So this is some of the things that you need to be thinking about, right? How do you get new additional source of income at this point in time? Is very important, because you don't just want to sit and wait for the economy to go back, because economy will takes a while to finish its correction phase. You have to understand this. Okay, so the economy is not just going to, after the lockdown period, immediately everything will be rosy again. Okay, the minute you stop an economy for like 2 months to 4 months, a lot of things will come to a standstill. Okay, you need the cycle to start to roll again before this comes back. Sometime we're only looking at probably around next year, the last quarter of next year. Then you talk about economy starting to be on the bloom. But hey, if you are waiting to buy cheap assets, you don't do it when the economy is very well, right? You do it now when you have the cash flow, okay? So you need to look at your perspective, what you're looking at right now, yeah? First and foremost, setting an intention to get that perspective, you must get clarity, right? So, of course, other things you want to be looking at for the Wu Earth Day Masters is, now, this month, it is quite good for you to be studying a new skill sets. So you want to be learning out this, yeah? So it doesn't matter what you're picking up for this month, learn something new or learn something that you all the time wants to be exploring, but you don't have time. Okay, so you got one good month right now, so this is the time. So for the Wu Earth Day Masters, please make sure such time don't go to waste. Don't just cash out on your favorite soap opera or drama series. This is not the time for that, right? So this is a time for you to scale up. You need to know that everything that you're doing right now is going to build your future path. So that's relatively very, very important. You have to remember your strategy, and of course you have to stay focused and give it a little bit of patience. Things is not going to happen like overnight. Like tomorrow you learn these skill sets, tomorrow someone is going to hire you, right? So you need to figure out how to get your resume up, how to sell yourself, how to make sure that people really know what you can contribute, what you can bring onto the table. This is so important. Yeah. Okay, so for some of you that is just joining me in this evening today, my name is Kevin Foong. If you don't know what we have been doing all this while, right? We are doing on the Facebook Live. The whole idea of this Facebook Live is to give clarity based on your date of birth and time using the mechanics of Bazi. Now, we've started some Bazi training for beginners, okay, sometime at 1st of May. right? We launched it, and currently right now it's about 2,500 signups. So technically, if you have not gotten any form of parts, you want to get started, feel free to visit the link that we have, which we actually already put out in the Facebook link. Yeah. So if you go on to the Facebook post, the link itself, there is a post. It's called Bazi Jumpstart. Later on, if you want, I will be giving you more information. But for now, at least let's get focused on what you can be doing, looking at perspective of your Bazi chart, right? Okay, so let's look at the other Earth Day Masters. Okay, so if some of you are other Day Masters, let me just put it out right on the screen. Okay, so if you see, just getting a Bazi chart, this is like just a few clicks away, right? And you can't say that you can't do this, yeah? So in the past, you want to calculate your Bazi, it probably takes a pretty long time. Right now, we have software and everything else. Getting your Bazi chart is up so fast, right? So the next Day Master, some of you could be a Earth Day Master. Any one of you is a Earth Day Master, just key inside the comment, yeah? Okay. So Eric is asking about pricing of the Bazi Jumpstart. Now, technically the pricing is $497 US, but for our Facebook live group of people, because you have been my tribe, our community and members, we in fact these days we lower it down with 80%. Right now, I think you can get it at only $97 US, right? So that's an 80% discount. You'll be able to get started on it immediately to get you started with a bit of Bazi training knowledge. Okay, so that's a basic beginner program to get started. All right, so there's a timeline for the offer. After that, this offer will goes off, or probably goes back to the original price of $497. But currently, right now, it's $97 US. Yeah. So if you want to find out, just make sure that you click on the link. Okay. So wow, quite a fair bit of Earth Day Masters. So we have Sue, right? Sue May, Earth. Okay. So Xuan Yi is a Earth. We have Johnny, Earth, and Joyce Chua. Okay, and Marilyn Oi. Okay. Now, the key thing about Earth Day Masters is usually Earth, they are quite down-to-earth people, right? At the same time, they can be a bit secretive. They are not the type of people that likes to go around, talking about other people, talking about other things. They likes to do things silently in the background. Now, I kind of really enjoy the Earth Day Master people because this is one of their core strengths. They focus on taking action. They focus on delivering. Okay. Of course, this is just looking at the Day Master itself. You want to look at more strength and weaknesses. You need to study your Thank God. Now, thank God, if you missed this, I've covered this in my episode 2 and then my episode 3 of my Facebook Live. Okay. So if you want to get back access later on, I will drop you a link. Make sure you follow this live to the end of it. I will give you a link, right? And with that link, you'll be able to get access to all the 6 episodes. Plus, you will also have access to the PDF file that we have prepared for you. Okay, so all the PDF file that give you a bit of explanations, right, to get you started, right? So at least you know what we are talking about here, yeah? So don't worry about not getting any of these notes, because right now I probably prefer that you just give me your attention in terms of this short time that we have, in terms of decoding some of your parts of the chart mechanics, so you can be learning at the same time while we are doing this, yeah? So with the Earth Day Masters, what are some of the things that we can be looking at is technically, right now, Earth, next month is going to be an excellent month for you. Now, this is a month you're going to get help from supporters. You're going to get help from mentors. So if you need to learn anything, the best way is to reach out. Okay. And the surprising thing is this. Now, if you reach out, you realize that it tends to be easier to get help coming, right? So when I talk about the timeline, again, it's that's 5th May to 6th June. So when you keep hearing that I keep mentioning next month, it's because of the date cutoff, right? So 5th May onwards to 6th June is the timeline I'm talking about for this energy to happen. So which means to say that right now, if you want to get focused on learning something new, you want to get some help from your mentors and supporters, this is the time, okay? Now, next thing is you probably also give it a bit of time in terms of the plans that you want to be executing. So this 1 month, you'll be spending quite a fair bit of time trying to figure out, where is this whole thing going to lead you to? So I want you to pay a bit of attention to your inner gut feelings. Listen to your gut feelings at what is it trying to tell you? Because sometimes you don't only just make plans like that, right? You want to make sure that you have a clear guideline, and then what do you envision yourself doing, getting to the end of the plan, right? So that's what is important, yeah? So that will be for the Earth Day Masters. Of course, we'll be covering more day masters in the upcoming session. But right now, at least let me try to take a bit of a question. Okay, so please make sure that if you just join me, please help me to do a like and share the post, because I want to mention this. When you share the post, this video is going to help some people who cannot afford any form of professional help or direction right now. At least if they put in some time, they look at the video, they get some form of direction. So when you share this video, you're helping to accumulate good merit and good karmas, and then you help those people who wants to reach out. Okay, so do me a favor on this, help me to share. And when you share the video, you obtain the status sharer. The Facebook will indicate that you are a sharer, right? So once you become a sharer, you'll be able to start to take information, questions from sharer. Just a way to give back to some of you that help us to spread the word around. So very simply, I will cater a bit of time for some of the Q&A. So please make sure that, okay, this is how we're going to do this Q&A. If you want to do this right, okay, you can ask one question, what you want to be knowing, right? At the same time, if you don't mind to share your date of birth and time, you can key it in, okay? Because this is a free sharing session. So you can key your date of birth and time. What I will do is I will have to plot out your date of birth and time on my screen here. So, and then I'll give you some guidelines what you should be looking at based on your question. So right now, you can look at you can key in your date of birth and time, and then you can key in your question. But of course, we may not have enough time to answer everyone, but I try my best to keep up with whatever question you guys comes up with. If not, we can put this on to other episodes. Priorities will be given to sharer. The minute you share, okay, I'll be able to help to answer the question, right? So example, so Anna is a sharer. I saw on the status, Anna has achieved a sharer status. Okay, so of course, if you want to ask a question on the date of birth and time, you can put in your date of birth and time and your question, put it together. I can plot it out on my screen here, and then we can look at it. How do you decode that, right? So you need to make sure that you share. Now, if you didn't share the post, I will not be able to answer your question, right? This is to be fair to those people who take the effort to share, yeah? Okay, so if you look at example, so Anna was asking how are the different elements in general, pink fire versus ting fire? How do they differ? Now, technically, if you look at pink fire, ting fire, of course, characteristics itself is a bit of a different. Okay, so pink fire, we're talking about the big sun, right? If you want to look at somewhat of a symbolic symbol, right? Ting fire, you're talking about candlelight. Now, we're not saying that the big sun is superior or the candlelight is less superior. That's one perspective of it. Now, in 八字, when your day master change, all the stars will change, right? So your hurting officers will become eating god, okay? So this is, you have to be looking at your 10 god in terms of your structure, okay? So when you start to do that, you'll be able to get it in terms of what energy is going to come. So example, when I circle the month, okay, you look at the entire month here, this is the month energy that's going to come. And when you look at that, you'll be able to look at this, yeah? Okay, so let's me pick out some of the questions that is coming. So example, we have, so I see from here, Ron is a sharer, yeah? So Ron Lee is a sharer. So if you look at the Facebook comment, you get to see that it's a sharer. So I will just put up some of the comments here. So if you look at 23rd of May, all right? So just give me some time. I'll just plot your chart now. So of course, if you don't mind, just make sure that you keep keying in your questions, and on the comment section, please key in your date of birth and time. When you obtain the sharer status, I'll be helped to share those that share first, okay? So this is 23rd of May 1979, that is born in the year of the goat, yeah? 79 should be goat. Okay, let me just put it out here, okay? Time is 1400. So you look at this, yeah, 1400. So this is what we do. And you must remember to select gender if you want to be looking at your luck cycle, okay? That is important. So first and foremost, because let's not focus on the date of birth and time, right? Let's focus on the question. Next month, is it bad, right? So that's what we're looking at here. Now, of course, if you look at the stars itself, right, coming for this coming month. Now, first and foremost, it's going to be the month, or we call this your 7K month, yeah? So if you look at 7K, it's because current month is snake month, yeah? I assume that you ask next month means 5th of May to 6th of June, yeah? So if you look at this part, snake month, it's technically 7K here. So let me just put out this, okay? And okay, this is, I think you can see it on the screen, yeah? All right, so if you look at The month, it's 7K. Now, of course, if you don't know what month of the energy is coming, actually what we can do is you can scroll all the way down, right? You look at this May, right? This box here in May, okay? It actually already shows you there's a 7K star here, right? So 7K star, technically, it can mean a few things. Now, first and foremost is people will think that it's a form of stress, right? But is it going to be good or bad stress? Now, the stress that I kind of interpret here, it's going to be a good stress rather and not a bad stress. Now, what do I mean by good or bad stress? Now, stress come in many forms. Now, if you literally take stress as what it is, okay, it technically means that it pushes you to do something that is not within your comfort zone. Now, but if you manage to achieve this without, being mentally hurt or emotionally hurt, then what you could be looking at is you do get the outcome that you want, right? So technically, if you look at these stars, this is one of the stars that you see in his chart. He has the resource stars, and if you have the 7K and the resource stars together, we call this Guan Ying's Xiangsen, so which means to say officer produce your resource stars. So if you look at this sort of formation next month itself, rather 5th May, not next month, it is a good month. Okay, of course, you're looking at it's the second half. Right, the next 15 days is going to be a very good timeline. So make sure that this stress is going to push you to a good direction. So it's probably likely going to get you to achieve some form of help, right? Because the officer star will produce your resource star. You get some form of help, and at the same time, you'll be able to learn a new skill sets. Okay, you'll be able to evaluate whatever you're doing right now. That's the first thing. Now, of course, the other stars that you'll be looking at is this. Now, it is also the Sin Matter month. Okay, because current month is Sin Si. It's also Sin Matter month. Now, if you look at Sin Matter, all right, Sin Matter to you, technically, it is what we can see is if you look at your chart, it can be some form of expenses. You need to be very careful on cutting, you need to cut down unnecessary expenses. That's one thing you want to be looking at. Other than that, I don't think it's a bad month. So to answer your question for Ron, next month is not a bad month, yeah? In fact, I think Ron has also attended our class. So Ron have take out some of our basic training. So if you want to also be participating like Ron, you can feel free to join us, right? Feel free to keep your comments coming, right? So I'm already reading your comment right now, okay? Yeah, you need to share to public, right? Once you share it to the public, you'll be able to get the sharer status, yeah? Okay, so keep your comment coming, right? So I'll try to pick up probably one more question. So please make sure that you are able to get it out, yeah? So let me look at some of the questions. So this is coming from, okay, let's look at Xuan Yi, yeah? Okay, so let me look at this person called Xuan Yi. Okay, so make sure that you try to share your comment, because when you share, I'll be able to answer some of the questions. Well, the comment ran out very fast. So we got quite a bit of people that's joining us live. Okay, so let's look at Xuan Yi. So Xuan Yi is asking on his career path. So this is on 1993. Okay, so I'll plot this right now. So just give me a sec, yeah? So Xuan Yi is looking at career path. So let me just try to put out your question, okay? So this is coming from Xuan Yi. So Xuan Yi is born 17 June, all right, 1993. So that's 17 June, okay? And you look at 1993. Wow, you're pretty young, yeah? Which is good, right? You got all the time in the world. I always enjoy people who's young and wants to. You see, hey guys, he is 1993. And then he wants to know about his career path, right? And then we have people, sometimes they are born 1950s, 1940s, 1960s, and then you don't seem to care anymore, right? So you see, this is what we always need to, what intention you need to put out for yourself. You still want yourself to do well, you always make sure that your energy level is at an all-time high, okay? You need to maintain that, because you need to know what your mind focus on, you will get the final outcome, right? So if your mind focus on negative news, right? Negative stuff. All you see in the whole world is all about negative stuff. Okay, so if your mind focus on getting new sales, getting new deals, getting more opportunities, what you see is completely different picture. So you need to make sure your mind is at all-time high. Yeah. So let me take this questions. All right. So that is from 17 June 1993. The time is 2200. Asking about suitable career path. Okay, you did not put a should be a male, yeah? I assume you should, yeah, male, yeah? Okay, so what are the few things? You see, you want to look at career path. That's a few things that we can be looking at here. So once you look at career path, it's quite straightforward, right? You need to look at two perspectives. Number one is you don't just look at which industry. That one is one part of it. You need to know what is your strength. Okay, so to know what is your strength, you need to look at a few mechanics. Now, if you look at his chart here, and if you zoom down to the 10 God structure, you see, look at this part on the 10 God structure. Okay, so let me just try to do some writing for you guys so you know where I'm referring to. So if you zoom out to this is his 10 God structure for his chart when he brought it out. All right. So if you don't know how we brought this chart, go to myparser.info. You can get it right out. Yeah. So you look at a few things first. Look at what stars that he has. Then you talk about what are the roles he should do. So first and foremost, if you look at some of the stars, okay, he do have the 7 killing, right? So look at some of the percentage. Yeah. The 7 killing stars relatively, it's one strong stars here, so he can maybe do a bit of management. Okay. Second is if you look at industry wise, you can be looking at number one, IT. Why do I say that? It's quite simple. You have fire element inside your chart. Now, when you have fire element inside your chart, fire element talks about infocom technology. It talks about F&B businesses. It talks about lightings. It talks about anything that is fast moving, right? So IT, technically, if you look inside your part of the chart, it's not hard for you to learn, okay? So that's one thing you need to get into. If you're already doing it, great, right? Because we look at what we have in our chart first. This is something that you can manifest very fast. I don't usually prefer that you do something that is not inside whatever, you're blessed inside your chart, because you might be taking a little bit longer than what you're doing right now. So that part is one part of it. Now, when you look at this fire, you also be looking at, there's a few other elements that you do have here, okay? It is also, there is a few water. Now, what is water industry? Water, of course, right now, you're talking about supply chain, okay? You're talking about transportation, tourism, but that is not a good trade right now, because technically this year, right, is a water year. And the minute you get into the water year, sometimes water year, some of the water industry will get hit, right? So example, you look at tourism, it comes to standstill because technically water element is already reviewed. Okay, so if you follow me enough, you start to see reading a chart is not difficult at all. Yeah. So I want you to be doing things. In fact, your research work, if you look at your stars, you can see that your direct officer, okay, your direct resource, if you look at these two stars, you got an indirect resource and a direct resource. Okay, so if you cannot see this chart, let me put it up a bit more. Okay, look at these two boxes. Let me get rid of all the boxes first. All right. So you look at this box, right? That is a direct resource and indirect resource. You look at these two stars, Shen, this is my comment for you. You are quite a well-learned person. Okay, you pick things up pretty fast, like it or not. Okay, so this is a good stars for you to have. One thing I saw inside your chart is you always doubt your execution level. Okay, so you do a lot of research, it's all well done already. The next step is to do it. Okay, it doesn't matter how much knowledge that you achieve. It doesn't matter that you study from many different courses, many different mentors. Remember, if you don't do it, there is no action taken, the result ultimately is equal to nothing. Okay, so the only key things I look at your chart is I know you're a very smart person. Just looking at your chart, I know you can learn things pretty well, right? So the only concern I have right now is make sure that you implement that. So career-wise, go into infocom technology, IT. Why also IT is currently in Feng Shui, we're in period 9. Period 9 is talking about Li Gua. Okay, Li Gua technically is also the South Palace. All right. So if you look at it, we are heading towards IT era already, right? So like you know, you see now everyone has to force to work from home. If you don't know how to work from home previously, then you'll be forced to find out how to work from home. Else, you will not be able to value it to your organization, right? So do something that got to do with IT and then try to implement, right? So I hope I answer your questions on your suitable career path. So other things, secondary roles you want to be looking at, as far as I'm concerned, it's right now, if you're looking at luck pillar, you are in wood luck pillar, okay? So wood luck pillar does suggest a few things. Maybe you're in a bit more stress right now, okay? But the stress is pushing you to accomplish bigger things in life. So you need to look at it this way. How does a lobster know that it's time to change its shell, right? It's because it's very tight in a tiny space already. It outgrows its shell. So stress, if you look at it in a positive way, it is a way to make sure that you can grow, right? So this is extremely important. So make sure that right now, other things you'll be looking at, you can look at training, yeah, because I can see that you got this Rockwell stars. So Rockwell stars does suggest that you can speak relatively quite well. Okay, so it's a matter of getting used to it and engagement. Okay, so you see, reading a chart is not difficult. Okay, so just making sure that you can follow up our chart reading. Just make sure that every episode try to tune in as best as possible. I'm doing this. No, I'm doing this. Okay, only at night. Yeah. So usually daytime, I'm still doing my live consultations to all our clients. I'm still doing teaching to our students. If you have not joined us in metaphysics training before, we have been in education for the last 10 years. Right. We have taught more than 25,000 students worldwide. So feel free to learn some. Why are people learning this? You need to figure out. Right. If this thing have no use at all, I think even last time the ancient emperor have no needs for any advisor. So if you study mechanics like 奇门遁甲, study 八字, study feng shui, all of this is to make sure that you got more information, right? And you'll be able to path your way up pretty well. You look at strategy, you look at implementation, and the key mechanics to using Chinese metaphysics is date, right? Date selection, timeline. When you select the right date to do certain things, ultimately you see results very, very fast. Okay, so I hope that this session helps. Okay, so just to make sure that I'm not taking too much of a time, so today we're doing a little bit longer, yeah, because I'm using the second half to do some of Q&A. So first half, I do some training for you guys. Second half, I teach you a little bit what are some key mechanics you can read from the chart. And of course, if you are interested that, hey, this is quite interesting, you want to take this further, feel free to participate in our basic training program, right? It's called Bazi Jumpstart, right? We even give out 80% right now, just to make sure that you got some form of information started. But of course, if you are of a practitioner level, you already decided that, I've studied some parts of background before, I want to go deeper, just contact us directly, because we have other courses that is only for practitioner level, okay? So that way we'll be able to engage you faster and not just get you started on the beginner stuff. But if you're completely new to this, you'll realize that what we are doing here is we are not wasting time studying our Bazi chart, right? We are trying to get clarity. You see, most people, they do anything is by trial and error. So if they think that they need to change job, they do it first, then see and hope that the result is good. Okay, but ultimately, sometimes you cannot reverse your time. So if you change job, you ended up in a rather bad environment, and then you regret it, then what happens? You can't, you don't have options to go back to a previous employer, right? So that is something that we want to be doing here. Yeah? Okay, so of course, if you finish your Bazi Jumpstart, we have 2,500 plus sign-ups, right? So if you have already finished your Bazi Jumpstart program, you will get on to our Bazi Wealth Mastery program. Okay, it's a full-fledged training. Technically, episodes-wise, is going to be more than 20. Right, so it will get you all started. You'll be able to start to read chart like the way that I'm doing here, like how all our students all over the world are able to do it. Yeah. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this little part of this training. Now I'm going to get you the information on how do you get the information for all the past episodes. So let me just get this out first. Okay, so very simply is this. I will be showing you how you can actually be getting some of this information. So all you have to do is this, yeah? You got to key in this, right? You key in growth 2020, one word. Please don't put a space in between. You put a space in between, the bot cannot detect you. When you do this, what happens is this. You have to key inside the Facebook comment. Not message me. You don't message me, because you message me, I can't detect because at times like that, now we get thousands of messages. So you message me, I will not be able to detect. So we have a system in place. When you do growth 2020, the bot will contact you and give you a list of all the 5 episodes plus today episode 6. So the top 4 episodes, the top 5 episodes we covered. What is the focus for 2020? What you want to be doing for the rest of this 7 months. Now it's May. You have all the time all the way to December. Don't waste it. Right? So that will give you a good direction what you want to be doing. And I teach you, right, in episodes 2 and 3, look into your 10 God. Now, when you look at 10 God, what we are talking about here is I want you to unveil what is some of your strength. Okay? Although, yeah, there's some weaknesses, but look at your strength first. What is the key strength that you want to be talking about? What are the key things you want to be doing? So now when you do the Growth 2020, the bot will contact you and then give you the list of all the episodes. It will all be added on automatically. Plus, you also will get the PDF file. Okay? So Of course, next week onwards, the PDF file will be receiving more updates. Okay, so some of you already downloaded, is good. But if you want to keep a list of all the video training on one section, please key in Growth 2020. Okay, and please also help us to like and share the post. Remember, when you share the post, you need to set that to public. Okay, when you share, you set the post to public, you will become a sharer. The status will assign a sharer in your Facebook comment. Okay, so once you become a sharer, every other episodes will pick the sharer to answer their question, right? So be it is your feng shui problems that you're getting, or you want to get directions in your life, or you want to get some strategy from Qimeng Dunjia, we can help you in our upcoming episodes, right? So you need to get your status as a sharer first. Make sure that you click share and then set the post to public. Because if you don't set it to public, I think you will not be able to get the sharer status, yeah? So share often, share enough, you'll be able to see that pretty well, yeah? Okay, of course, I'll be getting on. There is a few day masters, okay? 2 more days. Usually I do a Facebook Live every 2 days. Okay, so if you have not gotten me, every 2 days I try to do a Facebook Live for everyone. So just make sure that if you don't want to miss out, right, there will be a live notification. So the live notification will tell you that every time I get onto Facebook Live, immediately your screen will come out. You don't even need to memorize or remember, right? So use that option, right? So make sure that you do it with the Facebook Live option. Click the live notification, okay? So when you're done it, right, Facebook will give you that option. You'll be able to click activate. Right. Once you get that, you'll be able to get all of this. So, of course, for your next session, what I'll be discussing is a few more things. Yeah, I'll be discussing the energy for the matter people as well for the water people. So, if you're Keng matter, Sea matter, Ren water, and Kui water, I'll cover all the 4 in the next episode, which is likely going to be 2 days' time. Right. So, make sure you click the live notification, and you'll be able to notify immediately. And then this episode is also shown in YouTube. So we are broadcasting, streaming live to both platforms at the same time. So you cannot get on the Facebook. You can always go on to YouTube. Make sure in YouTube, you also click the bell notification. You'll be able to find us, yeah? Okay, so I hope that you really enjoy this part of the training. We try to make this as simple as easy for you to understand. You realize that once there are people who guide you, things get easier. So if you're going to learn all of this by yourself, it's going to take a lot of time, all right? So the quickest way I always say is to study from mentor, right? So I had my knowledge from many mentors over the years. I'm very grateful to all of these people who's willing to impart knowledge. And of course, what we are doing here is just giving back, okay? So we, at this time right now, a lot of people is not easy. So please, every time you see someone having a difficult time, lend a hand to them. It doesn't matter that if right now you can afford to even, I'm not asking you to give free money, but if you can, certain people ask for help them in whatever way, please. You need to subscribe to this one last thing. Everything that you do in life, as long as of good merit, it will not be for nothing. It will come back to you when you least expected it. Okay, so let's all generate good karma and good merit together by helping each other to grow. Don't do anything like step down on other people during this difficult time. Okay, because when you are doing that, you will ultimately accumulate something that you got to bear the consequences of it later, which is not intended. Okay, so let's all help each other. Help me to like and share. And this is Master Kevin, and I hope you enjoy this episode, and I see you live for my next session, okay, which is coming in 2 days' time. Have a very good day and good night.